Welcome back to Beit Yehovah. We were busy explaining some of the wonders of the fact that modern science is built and has a foundation with many strong Christians. We could go to the Jews also. They believed the Torah, and many of those became great scientists. But we continue with the Christians. Okay. In our own day, today now, there are a large number of scientists who are professing Christians. Christians in Science has over 700 members, and its US counterpart has over 7,000 members. One of the leading scientists of our generation is Reverend Dr. John Polkinghorne, president of Queen's College, Cambridge, fellow of the Royal Society, who was professor of mathematical physics before his ordination in 1983. He wrote, "Men of religion can learn from science what the physical world is really like in its structure and long evolving history. This constrains what religion can say where it speaks of that world as God's creation. He is clearly a patient God who works through process and not by magic. Men of science can receive from religion a deeper understanding than could be obtained from science alone. The physical world's deep mathematical intelligibility, signs of the mind behind it, and finely tuned fruitfulness, expressive of divine purpose, are reflections of the fact that it is a creation." I may not agree with everything this man says, but he is a Christian, and he is a scientist. Science and the scripture do not contradict each other. It is probably true that there are more disagreements and apparent contradictions within science itself than between science and the Christian faith. Nevertheless, it is commonly thought that there are conflicts between science and theology. One of the alleged conflicts is in the area of miracles. Spinoza, 1632 to 1677, the Dutch Jewish philosopher and the foremost exponent of 17th century rationalism, declares that nothing can contravene nature's universal laws. He believed in a mechanistic uniformity of nature. The philosopher Hume regarded a miracle as a violation of the laws of nature, and consequently he rejected miracles as being impossible. However, this is a circular argument. If the laws of nature are defined as completely uniform, then the supernatural is ruled out from the start, and it is therefore impossible to believe in miracles, however strong the evidence. In 1937, the distinguished German physicist Max Planck said, "Faith in miracles must yield ground step by step before the steady and firm advance of the forces of science, and its total defeat is indubitably a mere matter of time." Planck implied that science now explains what was once thought to be miraculous, which suggests that those who believed in miracles in the past did so because they didn't sufficiently understand the laws of nature. This is not the case. In Jesus' day, everyone knew just as well as we do that, for example, it is not natural for a virgin to have a baby or for someone to rise from the dead. If they had had no knowledge of the laws of nature, then they would not have recognized a miracle in any shape or form. As C.S. Lewis said, "Belief in miracles, far from depending on the ignorance of the laws of nature, is only possible insofar as those laws are known." The real issue is there a God? If there is, then miracles become a real possibility. If God is God, or in my words, if Yahweh is God, but anyway, Nicky Gumbel's an Englishman. If God is God, then he created matter, reason, time, space, and all scientific laws, and therefore it is at liberty to interfere. If there is no God, then miracles are a problem. But philosophy and science alone will not answer the crucial question. Scientific laws are not laws like the laws of pure mathematics. That cannot be broken. Rather, they are descriptive. As John Stott puts it, I am not suggesting that miracles are an adequate basis for theism. But once we have come on other grounds to believe in God, it becomes logical to affirm and illogical to deny the possibility of the miraculous. For natural laws describe God's activity, they do not control it. The second area of alleged conflict is the theory of evolution and the biblical account of creation. Is there an irreconcilable conflict? The first point to note is that much of the theory of evolution is still only theory. Dawkins, wake up and recognize that. It's only a theory! It is necessary to distinguish between micro and macro evolution. Microevolution, which could not conceivably be said to conflict with the Bible, means the variation and development within a species. The horse, for example, has increased greatly in size and developed in other ways over time. This kind of evolution has been observed and there is overwhelming evidence for it. Macroevolution, on the other hand, means evolution from one species to another, the most famous example being from apes to humans. It is often thought of as fact, but it is still unproved and remains a theory which is not accepted by all scientists. It is important to stress the provisionality of all scientific theories. I'll repeat what he said there. It is important to stress the provisionality of all scientific theories. The most striking example in modern times is Newtonian physics, which was treated with the utmost respect and regarded as virtually incontestable until Einstein and others showed that its laws broke down for the very, very small, where quantum mechanics becomes relevant. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Hannah. And the very, very fast, where relativity becomes relevant. Particular versions of theories of evolution are still taught in schools as if they are the assured, in a minute, Hannah, they are the assured results of modern science. To regard a scientific theory as more than provisional is bad science. The second important point is that there are many different interpretations of Genesis held by sincere Christians. Some believe in a literal six-day creation. The Creation Research Society formed in 1963 as a committee of 10 scientists in Michigan, USA, whose membership is limited to scientists having at least a graduate degree in a natural or applied science, now has hundreds of members. They believe that all types of living things were made by direct acts of God during the creation movement. Whatever biological changes have occurred since then have been only within the original created kinds. Other Christians interpret Genesis differently, Genesis 1 differently. They point out that the Hebrew word for day has many different meanings, even within Scripture. Since the sun did not appear until the day 4, the writer probably did not mean 24-hour days. The word can mean a long period of time. Therefore, it is not in conflict with the prevailing scientific view of the age of the universe, nor is it in conflict with the gradual evolution which God not only started the process, but worked within it to produce a system which culminated in human life. They point out that the order of Genesis 1, written by people with no scientific knowledge, is in some ways similar to that accepted by evolutionary theorists, i.e. plants, then animals, then man, as the climax. I would like to note that I forgot what I was going to note, so we continue. Some add the suggestion that Genesis is about information fed in at intervals, and God said, the feeding in of information takes place in a short period of time. The working out of that information takes much longer. They point out that this corresponds remarkably with the theory of the Big Bang, where the essential things happened within the first few minutes. By the way, the Big Bang was a theory coming from a Christian. Many Christians prefer to view Genesis 1 as a literary device, a poetic form which is not necessarily connected with chronological events in history. It is a pre-scientific, non-scientific account of creation in dealing with matters outside the scope of science. Poetic language can be true without being literally true. Okay, So there are different points of view in science and in